Hey everyone, happy Friday. We made it to the weekend. I'm here with the video, which I haven't done for at least 2 years. I have not done one in our new house. So welcome to the new kitchen. Posting a video today because I started writing a blog post and it was so long and it was so rambly. But it's stuff that I really want to share. And so I think the best way to do long and rambly is to do a video. So here I am, happy video. And I can't believe that this is something I never thought I would ever be like posting about on the blog or sharing with a wider audience than, I don't know, sous chef Lauren maybe. But we're going to talk about cleaning out my closet, which if you follow me on Instagram and watch my Instagram stories, you know that's something I've been working on for the better part of a month, and I'm finished. And it feels amazing. It really does. Like, I've never run a marathon, but I kind of want to say, like, this is a high. Like, if I ran a marathon or did, like, something huge, and all I did was clean out my closet. I'm somebody who has cleaned out her closet multiple times a year. My husband is baffled at how this is possible, but I've definitely cleaned out my closet for years and years, and I always find stuff to give away. Don't really like what that says about my spending habits or my buying habits, but this time is different. I know it. How many times have you heard that before? But really, and the reason I really wanted to recap everything is, one, because I have such a different feeling after this clean out, and two, because so many of you reached out to me via Instagram stories, or so many of you texted me as I was going to cheer me on, to tell me you were doing the same thing right now, spring cleaning and cleaning out your closet, to tell me that this was something you wanted to do. And watching my stories was really helpful. And I was really surprised at that response, but it encouraged me so much to keep going. I appreciate the encouragement so much because I'm sure I would have stalled out without it. But every day I'd be sorting through a new category of clothes, and somebody that I hadn't talked to in forever would just come out of the woodwork and tell me, like, this is really fun to watch, or like, go you, or I'm going to do this weekend. And it kept me going. So I wanted to share like my takeaways and my process. I love when bloggers and people who share online do things like this and get really specific. It's not incredibly helpful to me to have a big picture. I knew I had too many clothes. I knew I needed to pare down, but like really the nitty gritty of how to get there is really helpful to me when people share. So hoping there are some people who are like me out there that will benefit from this. So thank you so much to everyone who encouraged me along the way, and hopefully if you're somebody who watched and thought that this was something that you wanted to take on, hopefully hearing the process will be really helpful to you. So I think the first thing that made this closet clean out different from closet clean outs that I've done in the past was that I started with an end goal in mind. I follow Becky Higgins online, and this is not original to her, but she posts about it a lot. It's from Franklin Covey, and I think he did like the 7 habits of highly effective people maybe. So this is one of them. So I'm a highly effective closet cleaner because I did this. That's a joke. But I did start with an end in mind, and the end goal was that I wanted all my clothes to be in one place. This whole thing began when I was moving up my summer clothes from the basement. I was ready to take my wool sweaters back down to the basement and move my summer dresses into the closet. And as our basement becomes overrun with outgrown kids' toys and clothes and a rock and play and the click-in car seat that we've outgrown but may use again one day, it just seemed silly to me to have clothes down there. And like I said, I just knew it was too much. I didn't need that many clothes. And so I thought I wanted all my clothes in one place. I didn't want to have to do this every season switch out process. So that was how I wanted to end. And that really helped me when it came to taking everything out and seeing what I had and knowing whether I needed to really make progress and edit and pare down in certain categories based on, the finite amount of space I had. that was really helpful. In the past, when I had cleaned out my closet, I just sort of would rifle through whatever was hanging and decide whether or not it needed to stay or go. So that's fine. I always came up with stuff to donate and stuff to get rid of, but this was a different process, thinking everything is going to get housed in that closet. And that may or may not be your end goal, but I think having some sort of end goal or result of where you want to end up when you're done is really helpful to think about. That was the first thing that was helpful. And the second thing that was helpful was the process I came up with for doing this, which was not something I gave a lot of thought to before I got started. It just ended up being my process. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but it's really similar to, or along in the same vein as Marie Kondo's process in The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. Yep, I said it. I read the book when it came out a couple years ago. The whole internet read it. Like, everybody read it. I know all of Instagram read it. Pinterest was pretty crazy about it too. I read it. I liked it. I didn't love it. I'm somebody who's always thinking about decluttering. I tend towards clutter. Her method for decluttering is unique. That was new, at least to me. But I didn't think the underlying ideas behind her method were unique. So Marie Kondo's main idea is to take everything in your house, and she's a very systematic, specific manner of doing that, and ask yourself, does this bring me joy? And if it doesn't bring you joy, you get rid of it. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you paid $1,000 for it. If it doesn't bring you joy, get it out of your house, which I appreciate. But her specific process for doing that is, it's time intensive, it's labor intensive. It just wasn't something that really spoke to me when I read the book. However, I realized as I was going through this closet cleaning process that I adapted a lot of her methods in terms of clothes to clean out this time around. So take that for what it's worth. So what Marie Kondo would have you do if she came over to declutter your house, and should you be so lucky, because I think she'd be really helpful to have, she would have you take all of your clothes from anywhere in the house and bring them all into one spot. So for me, slightly embarrassing to think about, I have clothes in my closet. I had clothes in the basement. I have clothes in a dresser in my room. I have coats in the coat closet downstairs, and then I have off-season coats upstairs. And so Marie Kondo would have me bring everything together, because she says you really can't see and understand how much you have until you see it all together. And that I totally get, totally respect. But if I were to bring everything all together and tackle it at once, the process would have taken, realistically, an entire day, or most of it. And I don't want to say that I didn't have the time for it. I could have made the time for it, but I didn't want to. So I made this process work for me and work for pockets of time that I found here and there, and realized I was employing a similar method to what she suggests anyway. So I kind of felt good about that. So the way I started was I had brought my summer clothes up from the basement, hadn't yet taken my fall and winter clothes down yet, but just one day got the itch, realized that I had way too many blue and white striped shirts. And I had known that for a while. Oh, it was because I had just ordered a new one, and it was sitting on the bench at the foot of my bed, which just collects like clothes. Like, we have a chair in our room. It doesn't collect clothes, but this bench at the foot of the bed is like my son's clothes that he's napping and I can't put away in his room yet. This new shirt that came that I haven't hung up yet. Like, so that needs to get decluttered. That's a new video in and of itself. But too many shirts. So I'll talk you through the process that I used for those, and really I followed a pretty similar process for any number of categories of clothes. Took all the shirts out of the closet, everything. At that point, all the clothes were up from the basement, so this was everything I had. And put them all out on my bed, and I tried everything on. And I did that regardless whether I was looking at, I did blue and white striped shirts. I did t-shirts. I did like t-shirts that you wear, like plain colored t-shirts from the Gap. And I did like t-shirts, like got this on a work day that we all had to wear the same shirt. I did those. I did shorts. I did workout pants. I did jeans. I did dresses, which I had to break into 2 categories. I did dresses and skirts. So I did fall and winter dresses and skirts and summer dresses and skirts. I did sweaters, cardigans. I'm trying to think of all the categories. I basically just broke my wardrobe down into categories and I just tackled one at a time. I did shoes. So I followed the same process regardless of the category. But I tried everything on. And I don't think that's necessary, but I highly recommend it. Especially for me, having had a baby 14 months ago. Super psyched that things fit again that didn't fit before, but a lot of things fit differently than they did before, in different places, and so trying everything on to me was really important. And I'm sure for a lot of people, maybe if they haven't had some sort of life change or if their size has stayed more or less the same, you might not feel the need to try everything on, but I really did. So I tried everything on. And there were a couple things that were really easy to see at first. So the first thing that was really easy to see was just, is this too worn out? I had a boat neck, blue and white striped shirt. It was like cream to here, it had an orange stripe on the top, and then blue and white stripes down to the bottom. And it was just old, and it was dingy, and I hadn't worn it in a super long time. I could wear it again. I could have just decided I'd wear it the next day, but it was dingy. And I love the shirt, which is why I was holding on to it. I loved the shirt. But it was old and it was dingy. And the question of, like, does it bring me joy? That's like a woo-woo question a little bit. Like, oh, like, do I hear the angels sing when I wear it? Well, no. If that's a little too woo-woo for you, I would think about, like, do I feel good when I'm wearing this? And the answer is, like, no, I just couldn't find anything better to wear, so I threw this shirt on because I used to love it, and now it's kind of worn out. So anything that was worn out had to go. I decided I'm 32, I'll be 33 this summer. I'm too old for clothes that are just dingy and gross. Unless it's like my beloved gray and blue Nantucket t-shirt that I got the first summer that I ever went there. And it's gross, but like it's a favorite t-shirt. I'm sure we all have a favorite t-shirt in our closet somewhere. If it's worn and has no sentimental value or little to no sentimental value, it goes. So anything worn needed to go. I can also have a tendency to hold on to things like that. I think with this shirt too specifically because it was a little bit different than just a classic blue and white striped shirt. It had that orange stripe and thinking like, there's going to be a hole in my wardrobe if I get rid of this. Like this is like a solid piece in my wardrobe. But the truth of it is, if it's worn out and you're still reaching for it, then you look like you're wearing a worn out shirt. If you get rid of it, 2 things are going to happen, or one of 2 things. You're either going to miss it and realize that you need a new one, or you're not going to miss it at all. And if you miss it and you realize that you need a new one, well then go get a new one that looks amazing. You may not find it the first time you go shopping. You may go on to your usual places that you go and you don't see one right away. But in the back of your head, if you really miss it, you're on the lookout and you're going to find something else. And like I said, if it's that Nantucket t-shirt that you just love and like, no, you would cry if it was gone, then keep it. But most things aren't that sentimental. So anything that was worn and dingy goes. And then the second thing is fit. And this is something where I definitely used to think if it doesn't fit, get rid of it. Now that I've had a kid and may someday have another, I'd amend that a little bit, which is if it doesn't fit really well, but it almost fits. And if that could be it's a little too big or it's a little too small. A little. I'm going to say it's okay to keep it because I can see having just had a kid and possibly having another someday that my body is just going to be like this for a little while. And so things that almost fit are okay to hang on to. jeans that I could button before I had my kid because I was going to bar 5 times a week and I can't button them anymore. I can't even get them like hiked up all the way. No, those go. Those don't almost fit. And realistically, me being that small to fit in them again is not going to happen for several years. And so I don't think it's worth holding on to something for several years in hopes that one day it will fit again. If I am that size again, it will be amazing. And hopefully, what are the jeans I like? The AG jeans from Anthropologie. Hopefully they will still make those. And they'll fit me well. And who's to say that like skinny ankle jeans are even going to be a thing in a couple years when I'm that size again. So the fit is important. Anything that fits really well, I left on the bed. Anything that was way too small, I said goodbye to. And anything that fit but didn't fit my lifestyle also had to go. And what that meant for me, especially when it came to dresses and skirts and a little bit with shirts too, like things that were too low cut. Like I have a kid who's pulling at the straps of tank tops and bathing suits, who I bend down to pick up a lot. So things that I've never been somebody who wore super short dresses or skirts, but things that were on the shorter side are just not going to work anymore. They might have been a fine length when I just was out in a dress or a skirt and just like living my life like a lady. But now I'm a frazzled mom who is picking up a kid who doesn't want to be like pulling at things to get them in place. And so a couple items fit but weren't practical for life with a kid. And so those items had to go. So those across any category were the easiest things to get rid of. Things that were worn out, things that didn't fit well, and things that didn't fit with my lifestyle. So those were the first cuts I made to my wardrobe. And after that, things got a lot harder. So my kid is up from his nap. So we're going to wrap up this video. But I'll be back to tell you how I kept paring down and to wrap up with you later.